Set your intention from the beginning. Everyone wants to increase revenue. Yes, we all want to make more money. But how are you going to do that? Is it through your loyalty customers, your repeat customers? What is it that you really want to do? And dive into that. Don't worry about all the other stuff to focus on what's working, because there's too many things that can go wrong. Focus on the good, you get more good.
Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Toolbox Expert Perspective. Joining us today, we have Angela Hill, all the way over from Louisiana. She is the Director of Ecom at Batteries Plus and the author of Sweet Talk. So really excited for this episode today. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. I always like to start off by learning a bit more about your career journey. You've been in ecom for over 20 years. Maybe walk us through your career journey so far and kind of some of the most pivotal experiences that stick out.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in e-commerce for a very long time. And, I started at the time when it was just a baby. We learned about customer engagement. We learned about what clicks do, which are messaging, how important that is. And, back in the day, I always like to tell this funny story, but I remember reading about Google in a magazine. And I earmarked that page and I said, this is going to be something really unique that we need to kind of lean into. And so starting my journey from the basics, I was able to really have a 360 view of everything. I've sat in every chair. I've done pretty much every role, held every role. And I feel like that has given me a unique perspective on e-commerce to, from actually doing the work to then becoming a leader in the industry and being able to see that transformation all this time.
Very cool. And as of late, it looks like you spent a good amount of time working in the barbecue space as well. Now you've landed at Batteries Plus. So without speaking about Batteries Plus directly, I'm curious, obviously it's a complex category heavy retail business. What attracted you to join them? And is that like a kind of a different business model than what you're maybe used to when it looks at kind of some of the previous companies you were with?
It is, Batteries Plus is, we have over 700 franchises nationwide. So it puts a little bit of a complexity into an otherwise straight up e-commerce website, having to take into consideration weather, seasonality, having to take into consideration inventory. But what really drove me to Batteries Plus was the opportunity to make a difference. And we have a great business model. We have a great foundation, and I'm there to really just enhance all of that and make customers understand the breadth of our offerings and the level that we take to actually be a part of the customer journey and service those customers as they come into the store. So I found that to be a really exciting opportunity when it crossed my path, and it just really resonated with me and kind of felt just like an extra step towards being able to use all of my experience, my past experience in the e-commerce space.
And getting a bit deeper into the weeds on this, there's retailers who obviously manufacture and build their own products and have a brand. And then there's others that resell other people's brands, right? So a lot of what is sold in some retailer stuff or reseller stuff is really, it's available in other stores, right? So how do you think about being able to drive online traffic when you're effectively selling other products that in theory are available on Amazon or available on other websites as well, and it's not like a branded experience? Like, maybe talk to us a bit about that difference.
That's a unique position, and that's really been most of my e-commerce career is, reselling other manufacturing products, understanding and leveraging the pricing, understanding, the logistics behind it, and just really creating that space to be able to sell on Amazon and through third parties. I think you really have to go back to forming a trust with your consumer in order to be successful to do that. Even though you're on Amazon, you still have to have that brand recognition. You still have to have that story. You have to tell the story. You have to make sure that your products are meeting customers where they are. And, if they're on Amazon, you have to be there. If they're on, other third parties, Walmart, Home Depot, whatever it may be, you have to be able to engage the customer through the partnership of that platform that they're shopping on, because ultimately they're going there for an element of trust, and you need to replicate that within your product to be able to get that conversion.
Very cool. And I think you might be the first guest that I interview who's also written a book. So maybe talk to us a bit about Sweet Talk, connecting, really connecting communication, behavior. How did your career inspire writing the book? And maybe talk to us a bit about what is the book?
Yeah, so the book is called Sweet Talk. It's sweeten your life with the power of your words. I began in the role of e-commerce as my career, but I also spent so many years learning how to choose, click, convert, and that customer behavior. And I think the element of Sweet Talk is the same type of technical um, advice, but within your own life. And basically, it's understanding that you have tools provided to you at birth that you can use. Things like intuition, inspiration, frequency, the power of your words using affirmations, visualization, mindfulness, mindset shifts, all of these things. And I was in a situation in my life where I found that I was really creating my life through my words, whether it was professionally or personally. And I would sit and, I had a team, and we would always, have brainstorming sessions, and we would talk about what we wanted to put out on our website to the consumer. And I always would say, what does that really mean? You have to really get down to the nitty gritty of what you want, what your intention is, and what you're trying to do with your life and with your work. So throughout, this process of really training myself to focus into intention and, mastering the power of what we're trying to say, I realized that I was doing that in my life. And things started happening to me that was a direct result of my words. I would wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to have the solution to this problem. Today I'm going to create a new avenue for revenue. And things would happen. And I trained the change in my perspective, and I trained myself to really understand, what is happening internally, because, what you do today, the words you speak today are going to create the life that you live tomorrow. And so I wrote a book about it, and it's got some it's got some personal stories, examples. Like, it is focused on affirmations, but it does have more of the tools that you can use to, weave in that intuition, inspired action, and things of that nature as well. So yeah, it has a little, at the end of each chapter, you can write your own notes and you can write your own affirmations. So far the results, feedback I'm hearing is really great. I've had people from executives read it and say it's changed their whole perspective on running their business, all the way down to, teenagers and young adults read it and say, I just never thought about what my words were doing to either hinder my life and, my environment, or also just, push that positive energy and expand that positive energy into their world. So I really had a good time writing it. And I do think that my e-commerce background has helped me to sort of dive into that consumer behavior to understand how we can curate our lives just like we curate our brand pages.
I love hearing that. That's really awesome. And I've already heard you say meeting people where they are. How does that translate into how you're basically driving revenue through an e-com website? Whether it's a product page, checkout flow, customer messaging. Yeah, curious about how you kind of translate that directly in there.
Yes, I think you have to, one, understand, who your customer is and why they're shopping your website. And once you get that down, then you can follow them on the customer journey. Sometimes when I say meeting people where they are, you can take the technical terms of that and say, are they, just browsing? Are they ready to buy? What is the intention of them being at your shopping on your website? But you can also look at meeting them where they are as far as their mindset. So, are they a return customer? Are they coming to you because they trust you? Because maybe their neighbor has said, "Hey, I've shopped at this store. I go into this store. I trust them." That is a completely different experience than a new customer finding you because they searched for your product online. So being product centric, and trying to understand, are they looking for technical aspects to, technical confidence, or are they looking for a trust level of, I can understand that they're going to help me, they're going to serve me the right product, they're going to, I can trust checking out, they're going to follow up if something goes wrong, what's their warranty, and really just putting all that on the table where they are. So at the checkout, you want to have that level of trust, right? You want to give them the confidence to click that button and go through the checkout process. Maybe at the beginning, you want to show them more products. Maybe you want to say, look, we are a legit company. We have stores. We have a great return policy. We have all these products. Give them a clear navigation and really, provide to them what they're looking for in that moment in the right way, using the right words.
I love to hear that. And you touched on one of the next topics I wanted to go through, which is the microcopy. So maybe talk to us a bit about, you recently had a LinkedIn post, talked about cutting abandonment rate, microcopy tweaks. For those that don't fully know what that means, maybe give us a brief description of what that is, and then kind of talk through how you think about it in some of your mental models, and how you evaluate if it's working or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, AI is kind of forcing us to do this right now because they are taking into consideration every word that we have on our site. They're putting a summary together and then feeding that to the customer. So no longer can you just match word for word, And so when a customer comes to your site, are you selling to them, or are you giving them that trust level and helping them? So, changing instead of products left in your cart, which is a very factual dictionary style of explanation that consumers really kind of glaze over now because that's not what they like. Maybe instead of that, you say, hurry, here's what you left. Or one of my examples was, let's wrap this up. Add it and let's get it going. Save some time. Here are the things that you looked at already. Here's some time, time savers, and just really formulating that message to be more conversational, more intuitive. Instead of putting on your homepage, shop these products or shop our categories, maybe something like, we're ready for fall, are you? Or, fall favorites, or just really that conversational piece, I think. And AI is doing that now. I use the example a lot of times. If a pregnant woman is looking for comfortable shoes, she's going to search comfortable shoes. But what AI is going to serve, and what you want to do to your website, is provide shoes that have thick soles, shoes that can be walked on all day, shoes that don't have laces that you can just slip into. And all of that, we're teaching AI that equals comfortable shoes. So we have to remember now, like, what are those value propositions? What are those USPs that we need to start, speaking on our website that is going to be interpreted by AI and by the consumer as to what they're looking for. Like, that's going to answer their question. That's going to serve their need. That's going to provide them assistance in finding what they want quickly, without actually the technical terms being used. So I think that's something that's really changing right now. And a lot of companies are, I'm not going to say struggling with that, but I think that changing your mindset on that and changing your perspective is going to take some work.
You mentioned customer expectations, right? Especially with AI coming. Obviously, you mentioned you've been in the game now for about 20 years. What are some of the larger customer expectation shifts that you've seen, whether it's speed, navigation, or delivery? I think Amazon changed a lot of expectations for delivery
Absolutely.
and fulfillment time. So yeah, maybe talk to us a bit about some of the bigger changes, and how you've made sure that you've always kind of stayed up to date on those.
Yeah, I think, speed used to be keeping customers on your site and keeping them engaged, but I think speed today is conversion. I think it's a direct correlation with conversion. So when customers come to your site, they want to check out quickly. They want to be able to find what they need quickly. So speed is still and always will be, a major part of the consumer journey and the website tech stack. How can we get that speed as quick as possible. So it's almost like a real time shopping experience. I also think navigation is very important. That's a very big, if the customer can't find the product, they're not going to buy it. And if they don't know what they're looking for, they're not going to find it either. So again, serving up the creative journey, that customer journey in a creative way, maybe curating pages that are equivalent to, smaller, unique categories that, so maybe instead of like camping products, stay, warm product for warmth, could be something. And just really looking at it as a different perspective and really driving down and drilling down to how is the customer going to find this product? They don't know that a specific product sits in your everything else category, so how can you bring those products into categories and create that clear and concise, navigation for them to discover the products? It's more of a discovery versus a selling too. And then I also think, stop the fluff. We don't care that click here to improve your life. So no longer can we say like, click here to elevate your outdoor space. What does elevate mean? What does that mean? You want to say, make your friends jealous, make your neighbors jealous, make your kids happy, have a fun day, whatever that feeling is. It's more of evoking that feeling. And the fluff is just not really diving down and drilling down into finding out what that truly means to the customer and even to yourself, and I do say it in my book, what does it mean? You have to, if you wake up today and you just say, generally, I'm going to have a good day. Okay, you probably will have a good day. But if you say, I am going to get to work on time, my coffee is going to stay hot all day, I'm going to find the solution to that problem that I've been trying to figure out, and, things like that, more specific, maybe, everything's going to work for you. I'm going to get all green lights. I don't know. It's just being a little bit more specific because that's really what you're trying to say. And so, I one time manifested a trip to Hawaii because I kept saying to myself and out loud, I want to go to Hawaii. I want to take a vacation. I want a great vacation. I'm worthy of a good vacation. But then I stopped for a second. I said, no, I want to go to Hawaii. I want to experience Hawaii for 5 days. I don't want to pay a lot of money for it. I want to have this, this great experience. 2 days later, I got a phone call and I won a free trip to Hawaii for 5 days. So this stuff works, it works. And again, that's in my personal life. But when you look at it in the customer experience online, if you say what you mean and you mean what you say, customers are going to trust you more. And they're going to be more inclined to say, okay, they told me they knew exactly what I was looking for before I even knew it. And that's how you have to look at e-commerce.
Oh, I love that. And this wouldn't be a podcast unless we started to dive a bit into AI. So where have you seen AI actually be more practical when it comes to implementing it, whether it's within your own organization or just in the peer groups that you're with? And maybe part two to that question, do you envision AI changing the interface of commerce? Is it a channel? Is it going to potentially change like a website structure long term? I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
I definitely think that we're just on the cusp of AI. And, I know people have mixed emotions about it. But for now, I think the best benefit that we can use AI for is two things. Reporting the data. AI can summarize data. AI can splice data. AI can really understand, take hours out of research to give us what we're actually looking for. Of course, we still need to review it, give a human review. At this time right now, we might grow into not having to do that. But I think implementing any type of AI reporting is going to help any business, kind of understand the customer and what they're doing. And then I also think that, curating categories and curating product assortments based on customer activity is something that is really accessible right now in AI. Product recommendations, product rankings, visibility, serving up messages to consumers where they are could be done through AI. There's a lot of companies that are emerging right now that have so many AI capabilities. It's mind blowing when you get into it, because it's almost like it's there, but when someone puts it in front of you, you're like, wow, this is like crazy that you could do this. And it's not just writing words and ChatGPT and all of that. I think that's good in assisting, but I think the true AI is going to come later. And yes, I do think that our platforms are going to change. I think that consumers are they're going to be able to log in to a website and it's going to know. I mean, everything's already connected. You have all these, you feel like Big Brother's watching you, because it is. And I think we're going to be served those things so quickly, and so much personalized information driven straight to us through AI, that, it's going to be a challenge. The competition the competitiveness is going to really increase, because what is going to set you apart? How are you going to set yourself apart? Yeah, you have all these great things. Yeah, you're going to be able to serve customers products right away. So will your competitor. So how are you going to set yourself apart in the age of AI when everyone has the tech to do all these fantastic things, all this new functionality? And I think the answer to that is just branding, trust, branding, understanding your message and putting that out there in addition to all the technology and functions that you have on your site. It's going to be an interesting time. I'm really looking forward to it in a way, but sometimes I kind of sit back and think, man, the website of the late 90s was so cool too.
For sure. And obviously, with your 20 years of experience, I'm assuming how you've kind of approached these technological innovations has also kind of changed as well. Do you have any kind of advice or principles for folks that might be you in your position but 20 years ago?
Wow. Yeah. I think it all goes back to, know your why. Why are you doing whatever you're doing? Set your intention from the beginning. Um, back in the day, we had to hand code everything. We had to really create special boxes for everything, and everything was just so manual. And we had no data, we had no reporting. All we knew was sales. Oh, we got an order. Where did they get that from? So we didn't really have the opportunity to, you know, um, be as creative as you can be right now. But I think through that creativity, we lose the why. So, know your why, know why you're doing something. First step, wake up, understand, okay, are you trying? Everyone wants to increase revenue. Yes, we all want to make more money. But how are you going to do that? Is it through your loyalty customers, your repeat customers? Is it through new customers? Is it acquisition? Is it paid? Is it, higher AOV? Is it higher IPO? What is it that you really want to do? And dive into that. And if it is, say, for instance, higher AOV, understand what that means. Look at, every day, the reason why you're doing this is for an increase in AOV. So you should be concentrating on products. You should be concentrating on merchandising. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Don't worry about, what does the homepage say? Don't worry about, oh, we want to do this promotion. Let's look at the actual basics of AOV, visualize it, write it out, share it with your team, talk about it every day, write it on the wall. This is what we're focusing on. And then at the end of the day, when you get to the end of the project, you'll know that you did everything you could within that channel, to get there. And focusing on that good, just focus on what's working. You used to have to focus on the things that were broken. That was the best thing to do. Oh, let's fix what's broken and we'll increase all these things. Nowadays, you have to focus on what's working, because there's too many things that can go wrong. So when you focus on the good, same thing you should do in your life, focus on the good, you get more good. So imagine if you took that, product that you were making, 20% of your sales or 80% of your sales, the 80-20 rule is on these 10 products. If you consistently updated and worked on those 10 products, you're going to expand your sales so much more than if you took that, 80% of things that are broken, and said, oh, let's work on this $2 item that nobody's buying. Nobody cares about that. Yes, it's there. Yes, you need to, maintain it. but focus on your bread and butter. Make your bread and butter the front page of your website. Make it all of your emails. It's always there. And when a customer comes to your store or your website, they know who you are and they want to participate in that. They want to be a part of that. They want to engage with you. So I think that's going to be really, through the age of AI, we're going to have to look at that a little bit closer.
Couldn't agree more. And Angela, wanted to really thank you for your time. This is an awesome episode. If for those listening want to get a copy of Sweet Talk, where can they find it?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, or also my website, sweettalkbook.com.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thanks so much.
The Ecommerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives is brought to you by Noibu. To find out more about Noibu and how we can help you debug your e-commerce site and rocket your revenue, visit www.noibu.com. That's Noibu.com. And then make sure to search for the Ecommerce Toolbox Expert Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Noibu, thanks for listening.